Epic and legendary tomes are a precious, precious commodity in this game, so you want to make sure that you're not wasting them. The truth is, some heroes in this game absolutely need to be skilled up with those tomes to be viable in this game, and other heroes don't need them at all. So today we're going to cover what heroes can you save your tomes on so that you make sure you have them ready and waiting when you get a hero that actually needs them. Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome to the channel. I am B-Hub, and our first hero on the list today is Vrask. Now this guy is known as one of the better healers in the game. He can definitely dish out some heals. He does it because of this cannibalism passive, which heals whenever he inflicts a critical hit. Now, if you scale up these right here, you're just getting more damage, and if you scale up his A2, you're just getting a cooldown -1. Now, here's the weird thing about Vrask. You don't want this cooldown reduced because his A1 is better than his A2. It fills his turn meter by 20%. So if you want heals, he has to attack, and the more his turn meter gets filled, the more he attacks. So you want to use this ability less. So you don't want this. You don't need to invest tomes into Vrask. Now let's move on to our next hero. Up next on the list is Doom Priest. And Doom Priest is a pretty cool hero, but you do not need to waste your books on this hero. The A1, you can level up some damage, which is always great, but you know, we're talking about using your books efficiently, and that's not it. And on this one, you have mass possession, and you get a cooldown -1. Now, this is a buff, and buffs are great, right? But there are better ways to use your books. You don't decreasing this is not going to be a huge game breaker anywhere, so don't waste your tomes on this hero either. Alright, what about some legendary champions? We're trying to say those legendary skill tomes, even more rare. Now, Septimus is a top tier champion. Amazing, amazing, amazing. But the skill ups are not. You just get extra damage. Now, he is an attack hero, so you might be thinking, well, extra damage is really good on an attack hero, right? And that's true. This will make him better. But the question is not, is this champion going to get better? Is this the best place that I can use my skill books? So real quick, I'm going to do this one time. I want to show you something. Now, Septimus, you can still run him even without those books. But let's take somebody like Martyr. Now, Martyr, you need this decreased cooldown right here. Like this, you need to land this to make Martyr really, really good. Like this needs to happen, right? You need to have that. Or what about somebody like Arbiter? For Arbiter, you need this cooldown reduced, and you need this cooldown reduced twice. Like you have to have those things to make those champions as strong as possible. So although increasing Septimus's skills will make him technically better, it is not the best use of your resources to just level up this damage when those really rare tomes are going to be needed in other places for other champions. Alright, let's tackle another legendary hero. This one is Nuraghe. Now, for this guy, he can be used, I would say, primarily in arena is where you're going to use this guy. And I want to make a point about your arena heroes. So for your arena heroes, ideally, you don't want to be looking at investing all of these books to try and make something like a cooldown like this one turn less. And here's why. So Ice Pillar, this is a great ability. Attack all enemies. Place a block buffs for 2 turns. And you can make this into a 3-turn cooldown. And that's great. But in Arena, ideally, what you're looking to do is to put the other team down by that time. Now, if you're running a defensive kind of Arena team, I mean, that's great. But here's my thing. You don't want to invest, you know, up to 7 legendary tomes just to have this one skill reduced by 1 turn. I don't think that it's worth it. I think Nuraghe is just fine as is on his own. I don't think that this cooldown makes or breaks him. I think he's going to be great in dungeon waves. I think he'll be strong in faction wars. I think he'll be really good in arena, and I don't think that you need to invest 7 legendary tomes in him. I don't think that he gets significantly better. Speaking of arena heroes, Hegemon. You don't need to tome this guy. Hegemon is just fine as is. He will win you your fights without tomes. At best, you're bumping up this chance to place the decreased speed, which, dude, nobody cares. This is the real ability, and you can't get a cooldown reduced or anything like that. There's just no need to book a Hegemon. He's fine as is. Alright, so to talk about Skullcrown, I figure I would just show you mine. See, I used my Skullcrown for farming for a really, really long time until I got my Queen Eva, and I still use Skullcrown all the time in Arena because she is amazing in Arena. But for me, I have 4 total books put in her. I have 2 right here, I have 1 on Corrupting Touch, and I have 1 on Resilient. Now here's the thing, I put those books into her really early on because she was one of the earliest heroes that I pulled, you know, as far as an epic goes. Here's my problem with her, is that she doesn't get significantly better, right? Like, I could still use her even if I had no books in her, and it would be absolutely no problem. Now the other thing is she has a potential of up to 12 books that you can put in her. That's a lot of epic books. That's a big investment, and I just don't think that she gets significantly better, and I don't think she's the best use of your epic tomes. I think she can still wipe stuff, still kill stuff, shred things, just as she is right now. Alright, so Ray is really similar to Skullcrown in that regard. Now for her, this is a total of 12 books investing into Ray to fully book her. I think that's way too many legendary tomes to invest. There are better things. Ray is really good as she is already. You don't have to invest heavily into her to get a good result out of her. Alright, so to talk about my Queen Eva, what we're going to do is just go ahead and let you watch one of my runs with her as my farmer. This is a Queen Eva with 0 legendary tomes invested. Now she can be useful in other areas, so I mean you can tome her if you need her for somewhere else, but if you just use her as your farmer like I do, then yeah, 0 books needed for her to farm that fast. Alright, so what about some heroes like this, like a Kuna Matata here, who's a little bit more tricky? Like, you're gonna get him for free, should you book him? Here's my thoughts on a character like this and similar characters. Really, for him, you just want this reduced. Like, this is the only thing that you really want reduced. Like, this one is really, really good. The other ones are okay, but they're not nearly as crucial as Rally the Horde is. So, here are my thoughts on this. One, you don't have to have this one skill reduced for this character to still be effective. He gets better, obviously, if you do. If you use this character only in Arena, I would say don't really worry about it. If you're trying to use this character in other places, like in a dungeon or in Clan Boss, then you are going to probably need to book this skill because this is important. But here's what I would do on a character like this. I would, you know, you have a lot of other places. Look, that's 10 other books. Ideally, go one by one and just try and hit this cooldown. And as soon as you hit that cooldown, stop. Alright, what about Tundra Gilt Mallet? Damage with a little bit of buff, damage, no, you really don't got to worry about it. She'll get better, but I'm not trying to invest 10 legendary tomes into that. Alright, so on this next hero, I'm looking for some feedback from you. I need you to respond down there in the comments and tell you what has your experience been with Occult Brawler. This is a hero that I don't have, that I wish that I did have because he seems like a ton of fun to use. Now, Occult Brawler is a really interesting hero. If you don't know what he does, you should go check it out and just, you know, kind of read through what he does. But here's kind of what I've heard. I've heard that you don't want this cooldown reduced for Curse Eater, because if you're using him for something like Clan Boss, it seems that you don't want to use this every 3 turns. You want to just use this A1 as much as you can, so if you're running on auto or something like that, you would have to, you know, you're trying to avoid this. Is that the case? Is that true? Because to me, it seems like you do obviously want this, though. You do want the buff, debuff chance here to make this a 60% chance of placing poison. So for me, I could see trying to get these right here and trying to avoid that cooldown. Is that right? That definitely seems to be what I would do. I would try and avoid this and get these. Tell me what you think below. Alright, before you yell at me, hold on, for putting him on the list, hear me out. For Ryzen, it depends on where you actually use this hero. For me, I use him in like one dungeon and I use him in Arena. And if you've seen my Arena footage, you know that I use him very frequently. I'm in Gold 4 and I get wins all the time. So I have 0 books placed into mine. And he does absolutely fine in all of the areas that I use him for with no books. Now, here's the exception to this rule for me. If you're going to bring him to Clan Boss, ideally the reason why you're bringing him to Clan Boss is because you're trying to get both of these very crucial debuffs on the Clan Boss all within one hero, which is great. And if you're doing that, you want to book him for Sheer. Sheer will give you a -1 cooldown, making this every 3 turns, and it will give you a 100% chance of landing both of these debuffs. That's super important. That's a big boost. That's a lot of potential added to your Clan Boss damage, and you're definitely going to want to book that. So if clan boss, then yes. And if you just use him like I do, like in arena and in one dungeon, then yes, he will get better. And if you have the books, you know, after you've already invested in your other top priorities, then yeah, you can book him. But he's just not all the way up on my priority list. I will book him later after I finish with my more important legendary heroes. All right, real quick. I need one last thing from you. If you would, please go into the comments below and tell me more heroes that you have tried that you're like, I don't think that investing books into this was a good idea, or whatever. But let me know what heroes you think should also be on this list so I can make a part 2 to this video. If you got something out of this, hit like, hit subscribe. If you're feeling super generous, that donation link is down there. And you can check out my gear through the Amazon affiliate link and see what I use for this video. Thank you so much for watching as always. Until next time, peace out.